episodes of Blasphemy.
Freebird. Coming to you now quite live from Peanut Studios. I'm Sascha Saintevic. With me is Briano Hawk. Brian, how are you doing today?
What? Figured I'd throw that one at you.
Caught me off guard. What the hell was that?
Anyways.
You're a crazy son of a bitch.
Oh, yeah.
We've been... I was looking through our tracks, catalogs, and as far as our inconsistency with this time, when we first started, we did a pretty good job staying within like 30 minutes and stuff. And we've been going like 40, 45 minutes. We just keep jabbering on. Now, I like the conversations. It's not anything like that. But we'll try to stay within the the presupposed time that we have set for this podcast. Otherwise, we don't want to jabber on forever.
Yep, that's true.
Let's go a little bit out of our comfort zone for a second today. I want to talk about pop.
Like lollipop, lollipop.
Yes, exactly, just like that, lollipop. But a specific kind of pop. Now we can talk about all the. Nothing in music is an island in and of itself. So everything has precursors and antecedents and all that. So we'll go into a whole thing about 90s boy band pop music was huge for a good chunk. Now you can always point to like New Kids on the Block in the 80s and stuff. You're trying to find on the chart?
No, go ahead.
Okay. You can always go like New Kids on the Block in the 80s and stuff, but really it was somewhere around 1995, I would say, that it really exploded. And it lasted maybe until the early 2000s, 2003 or so. I think maybe when it was already like becoming a dying animal.
Yeah.
And for some reason, this phenomenon exploded. The reason why it interests me so much is because it rose up around the same time as alternative music. And alternative music was very much sort of experimental phase. Like it's a very broad category, but we're talking about which developed from the entire anti-establishment, trying to go against the mainstream, but then it became mainstream itself, got absorbed into the whole thing. And what I was thinking, this is the trend that we're all going to go into. But the 90s boy band pop music stood as like a real unyielding, unmoving example of no. You can have formulaic, manufactured, factory-made music, and it will sell. And the reason it's going to sell is because you appeal it to preteens and teens, and you sort of use the blossoming sexuality of, let's face it, these preteen, mainly girls, and you appeal to that market, and you're gonna make a lot of money, and you don't need the whole thing of that move of people want a more raw, authentic sound. Didn't necessarily have to be true. It stood as an example that everything that we saw talk in the alt punk scene.
The thing is, what you're discussing is late 90s. Mm-hmm. Late 90s.
Circa 95 to 2000.
Not even really 95. It's more you're talking about 98, 99, 2000, 2002 era, because boy bands weren't a big thing really until about that time. Because in 99, that's when NSYNC and
they were around before
what is it, the Backstreet Boys and all them were huge.
My sister had pictures of them back in 1995 on her wall, so they were there.
I don't know.
They were very much. I know the Backstreet Boys were there.
I think it's more like 90. Like I said, 99, 98 maybe. Maybe it's 95, 96. But I don't think they were that big really, as
what I can got them in Europe before you guys did in America.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is also you are European. And boy bands and a lot of bands are actually tested out in Europe first. So therefore, you would know about them more, before we would here in the United States. Because of the fact that, bands are tested overseas, especially in Germany. Mm-hmm. For some odd reason, the Germans like bad music, and so that's where we send bad music.
It's big clarification to those people, man. I know whenever an American record label, when they have a new act, they will go through a test tour through Europe first.
Yeah.
Oftentimes Germany, because we will listen to just about anything. Like there were times when they're like, "Oh, there's a band going to be playing. Who's playing? Who knows? Who cares?" It's an open event, and people will stand there not knowing who's going to play, and they will listen.
Yeah, but that's the thing is, so 95 for you, yeah.
So
but they weren't here.
They were definitely
they weren't here until, like I said, they weren't big until like 99, 98, stuff like that. Now the thing is, you're saying I'm
talking about
and the thing
pop.
is, like, there's so many genres of pop. I mean, here,
well, I gave a specific example.
There's so many genres about pop. If you look at the chart here, pop is actually Madonna.
Well, even Michael Jackson could be put as
same. Like I say, here it says pop is Madonna. I kind of agree with what they have here. It says bubblegum pop, which is Britney Spears, and I think that's what NSYNC and all those other people are. They are under the genre of bubblegum pop in a sense, because when you just put them in pop.
I said you can boy band pop is what I call it.
Yes, but I mean, it's still pop in a sense, boy band pop. But I don't think it's just boy bands that should be that category. But yes, you're talking about boy bands in the pop genre, which is more of a bubblegum pop because of the fact that bubblegum pop really covers all that.
Okay, well then let's settle.
Like Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, NSYNC, 98 Degrees, Backstreet
that whole
Boys,
bubble that it emerged from.
What was it? O-Town, all those people, and I think that's what that would.
Yeah, and
that would be the best genre.
You forgot the biggest of them all, 5.
I don't remember 5.
They were a British boy band that didn't last too long.
That's 5, and and also the Spice Girls.
Yeah. Okay, let's not sell on that. Let's not use boy band pop, except when we're specifically talking about boy bands, and let's use bubblegum pop then for the whole thing.
Yeah, in a sense, I think that's what. I mean, I know what you mean. You're talking about like boy bands and the whole thing acapella. Well, not really acapella, but that whole genre is what you're specifically talking about. I understand that, but I'm just saying I think there would be more in the bubblegum pop era in the sense that they were made specifically to
appeal to a certain genre of pop.
Young children, not young children, but young teens, preteens, to make album sales, because I mean that's where the sales are,
and it worked.
Yeah, and that's the thing is you get the formula for the boy band like NSYNC or Backstreet Boys or even New Kids on the Block. They have that whole that formula they go with, which is you got your heartthrob, you got your young boy, you got your brotherly type, you have your
shy one,
you have your shy ones, you have your bad boy, you have your sick one, whatever. And that's a funny thing is yes, you mentioned Together, the MTV the MTV movie and group that actually formed to make fun of it. They actually discussed, they actually showed that formula, and it's true because that's what they use. If you look at any boy band, other than maybe Boys and Men, because they're the only ones I can think of that don't really have. They don't really have that formula.
They were more like a Motown,
but they're
blues.
They were boy band.
Yeah, I guess we could put in there, but
because I mean that's where it gets difficult because I mean
I wouldn't call them bubblegum pop.
No, they're not. That's why I said. I specifically said bubblegum pop because if you want to go in boy bands, then you're doing Bill Biv DeVoe, you're doing Blackstreet, you're doing Boys to Men.
So you would put all the R&B acts.
Yeah, because they're all boy bands. That's what they technically were. Mm-hmm.
But then the Beatles are a boy band.
They kind of were,
the Monkees.
Yeah. But no, the thing is, they didn't play music. All these people, they didn't play the actual instruments other than their voice. Bill Biv DeVoe, they didn't play music like their own instruments. They sang, they did their whatever, and they actually came from was it Blackstreet or I forgot what other band it was. They actually came from and stuff. The one with Bobby Brown.
What is it? I'm spacing on it. It'll probably come to me as we keep talking.
I can't think of them, but I mean, so that's what I say. I would specifically say bubblegum pop in that sense because of the fact that boy band covers so many things, and if you really want to get into the argument of it, then you can't say it's like, oh well, it's truly in the 90s because, or late 90s, because Bill Biv DeVoe was like early 90s, late 80s. Boys to Men were late 80s. The one with Bobby Brown was like early 80s,
Right.
mid 80s.
Well, see, here's the thing though. That's why I said like we can always go into the antecedents. We can always go to precursors. We can go if you want to take pop just as general. What does it drive popular? So we could go all the way to the beginning of mainstream music. Yeah. But that's why I specified very well. The reason why this one's that specific era of music. The whatever mid to late 90s, early 2000s. The reason why this is so specific to me is there was this. A lot of people always want to say like, well, the music, like people will start rejecting formula. They'll start rejecting the same thing over and over again, and eventually they did because it fizzled out, and it hasn't really been reborn. But during that time, for a long stretch of time, longer than most people would have expected, you could make the same brand over and over again, with the same level of success. And I think that to me that's just interesting. Yeah, we can talk about all the ones that came before and all the elements that led into that. Because of course the people who made this up, we point to Lou Pearlman, who's getting sued by everybody. I think he's probably bankrupt at this point. I think he's actually in jail. Yeah, like Lou Pearlman, who's very much responsible for all of this. Is at least the son of boy band album.
But all the boy bands that are out pretty much in the late 90s were him.
Yeah, I mean, and he's in jail right now for like investment frauds and stuff like that.
All that
we won't get into his financial issues. Yeah. But I'm talking about like he of course took all this stuff, all the stuff you mentioned before that. He saw that basic trend and he turned it into an assembly line factory. And many of the fans of these bands, many fans of NSYNC will say like, no, actually, how they actually got together is this guy and that guy, and then they all came together and they try to make it seem authentic. But in reality, the environment they were in is anything but authentic.
That's the thing is, if you actually look at like NSYNC, who is, in my opinion, one of the better of the boy bands out there.
If we were to rank the boy bands,
I think, because they had more talent. None of them were really ever in the same place at the same time until NSYNC was formed. Justin Timberlake was doing Mickey Mouse Club for a while, and then he
a good
disappeared.
chunk of the people who went above
disappeared.
The pop.
The thing is, like Jason Chazet or JC Chazet or whatever,
the other guy,
and Justin Timberlake both were on Mickey Mouse Club, so they kind of knew about each other on that one. But they didn't form a band there. Lance Bass, I don't think, was ever on anything. He just kind of showed up. Chris Kirkpatrick, right? Kirkpatrick. I don't know where the hell
he's usually actually credited with putting it together.
Yeah, he's one of them actually credited, putting it together. And Joey Fatone, I think, actually met up with actually Chris Kirkpatrick and Lance Bass during they worked at Disney World. If I remember correctly, if I can think of the thing.
The quick little tidbits.
They actually did work together in a sense, but they didn't ever really in the same place at the same time until Lou Pearlman came along and said, hey, I'm going to do this and that. What happens and they made the group. And so, there's like, oh no, there was naturally formed. Like, not really. They just, 4 or 5 random people just got a call. It's like, hey, show up.
Once they get one guy in who sort of like goes in like, hey, we're looking to put together a boy band. They get one guy there, and they get whatever, Chris Kirkpatrick, who knows a guy. It's like, oh, well, I can recommend this guy and this guy and this guy. And then, next thing you know, you have a band. I'm sure many of them follow the same thing. But again, like,
they were.
How it's interesting to me, though, how they all sort of fell into the same, what I would consider sort of bland, archetype of a band where, and it happened simultaneously, parallel to this other phenomenon of alternative music, which seemed like the opposite of it in some sense.
Yeah,
at least music-wise.
I think it's actually completely different opposites. Like in the sense that grunge was from literally like late '89 to 2004. In a sense, is when it was really big. That's when Nirvana was really around.
Well, that's what I mean. They contrast.
The thing is, Pearl Jam and all of them were kind of falling out as it was, in 95, 96. And then boy bands started coming in, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, whatever, all those other things, they started coming in, but it wasn't like one extreme to the other. It was already alternative music grunge was already kind of falling out as it was because, unfortunately, I think what a lot of people see it as is when, Kurt Cobain died and Nirvana broke up in that sense, grunge was dead, and so all the other artists who are grunge bands are kind of like, okay, well, we're going to do our own thing. We're going to change it. We're going here, we're going there, whatever. Some of them kept it going, kept the same thing or whatever, and still are around, but they weren't as prominent because I think it was, because of Nirvana, that grunge was really in the mainstream in the face of everybody.
Well,
and that's the thing is I think it's, in my opinion, like I said, it wasn't like overnight thing. It was like, it's grunge. Oh no, there's pop. And it was like, no, it was.
Well, no,
there was 3-4 years in between to where grunge was already falling down and pop was slowly building into it, and then it hit big, like I said, here, at least from what I can remember, 98, 99, 2000, 2002.
Yeah, with the mid-90s, it was already huge.
It was, the boy bands were in there,
died
everyone
out
was going, whatever.
I think by 2000, 2001, it was already dying out in Europe, but maybe a few years before.
In Europe, yes, but here.
That's what I mean, like it started early in Europe probably and died out earlier. Let me rephrase on it what I said, because I think the way I phrased it earlier may be misleading. I don't think, I think the two, whatever, whichever way pop went to when it's bubblegum, whatever grudge and all the alt music that came from that, I think they developed independently of each other. They appealed to different audiences.
Yeah.
So that's why, the way I phrased that kind of meant like, oh, well, how did these people, find interest in that? I don't think that the two of them overlapped, and then I said, it was a very specific crowd that this appealed to. You didn't see, for instance, many guys going to like boy band concerts or something like that. There may have been some, but it wasn't really the audience they were catering to. They were very specific. You can even tell by the way that they dressed and sexualized these young teenage boys. So by the way, anybody who says that there's no history in music of them sexualizing underage boys, 90s boy bands show the exact alternative of that. And the reason they did that is because the people who mainly listened to it were also teenage girls who found them attractive.
Preteen girls.
So that's just the era that was in. So
if you can turn a flaming gay man or boy, really, into a heartthrob that girls are gonna go after. You can tell they've been highly sexualized. I mean, Lance Bass, come on. You can tell when you look at the boy.
Anytime. This is just a quick aside. I don't think I've ever been shocked by anybody who's ever come out, especially like celebrity-wise, like music-wise, like Clay Aiken or Lance Bass, anywhere like that. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just, it always seems kind of obvious, and some things always seem kind of forced. But still, it's just interesting to me. And it's also, going back to Lou Pearlman, I don't know if we should credit him or not. I mean, he had a money-making idea. He handled it really poorly from a business perspective because everybody abandoned him eventually. But why do you think that this phenomenon eventually kind of started dying out? Because the bubblegum pop acts that were still around in the mid-2000s, going to the late 2000s, they had to adapt their style. Because one, they were getting older. They weren't teenagers any longer. They couldn't get away singing the way they did back then. How long can you sing about having your first date or your first kiss or something like that? Come on, you're pushing 30. Like at this point, it just that really doesn't sound authentic. Second of all, there really was, even amongst the teens and preteens that were still there, it's not just that everybody will go through this phase. The current teenagers now don't seem to be into boy bands. I know people can point to like One Direction or something, but they're like, okay, name another boy band. And they're not. It doesn't seem to have the same appeal though that it did in, back when we were closer to that age, where this seemed to be a really unique interest for people that just hasn't continued in the generation to come. You know what I mean? So why do you think this sort of fizzled out? Did the formula just become stale? Did people catch wind of it and they're like, actually, no, Mr. Pullman, we're not interested in this crap anymore. And we don't really want to go along with it. Or is it just natural for this sort of genre to just rise up and die? Like gravity, everything has to come back down.
I think it's natural for it to die because the boy band stage can't stay boy band forever because they get old and it's just like what the hell, because I mean look at Backstreet Boys, they kept it going as long as they could, and late 80s whatever, and then it fell apart 90s and 2000 whatever they started coming back, and you see them.
They tried so many comebacks.
You see them and you're like, they're so old. Stop it. And then they went, they had the whole thing, what it was called, they had the initials it was a Boys to Men, Backstreet Boys, so it was like
New Kids on the Block.
New Kids, that's it, New Kids on the Block. There was a NBBRB, whatever.
And annoying.
Thing, and they like made a super group. And they weren't that good.
It still didn't. Here's the thing: they tried to make a comeback every time. Tried to revitalize on the nostalgia effect, because nowadays everybody is always looking to the 80s and the 90s, feeling nostalgic. Which, by the way, that nostalgia effect, the movies and the music, really makes me feel old. At this point, because they're going back to an era that I don't think is that long ago. My childhood, and they're looking into nostalgically. Do you remember back in the day? Whatever, when Christina Aguilera first came out, I remember it because it wasn't that long ago, in my opinion. Maybe I'm just
genie in a bottle.
Maybe I'm just old. Now,
whatever.
But every time a band like the Backstreet Boys, they try to hit that nerve, that nostalgic nerve. It doesn't have the same effect as some other things do. Like sometimes people, they'll go back and they'll remake a movie or something from this era, and actually, it does rev some people up.
No.
Yeah, let's see. I'm refraining having an opinion on that until it actually comes up. I know a lot of people's opinion now. I don't think it's going to be good, but we'll see. I will give them a chance. But going back to what I'm saying, the Backstreet Boys specifically, who would try to do a comeback recently, hitting the same pop music, it just didn't have. It's remained fizzled out. It didn't revitalize anybody. Not even the people who are now around our age who would have been listening to that. Even they were like, "I'm too old to listen to this." It just doesn't strike the same nerve as it did to a 32-year-old woman as it did when she was 16. Yeah. And so these things really do have a life expectancy.
Yeah, they do. I mean, that's the thing. It's they.
But the way other music
when you choose say bubblegum pop or pop in a sense, you kind of have to think about it as how long can I do this before it gets old, or before it's I have to do something different, new, come up with a new genre or whatever. Bubblegum pop is really, it's between the age of 16 as an artist, 16 to maybe 24, and then you're like, okay, grow up. You're a 24-year-old man or woman. Do something else, and stop singing about whatever. Unless you're a really young looking 24-year-old or something. You need to change your song, your tune, do something different. I mean, most of the time you're usually about 21, 22 when the artist gets there. That's when they go into their bad phase or whatever, like Christina Aguilera in her dirty phase.
That lasted all but one album. She went back to a classy retro phase.
Yeah, I mean, was it what Bieber does now? He was really really boy bandy kind of thing, and now he's like, I'm the bad boy. I was like,
his music still sounds so poppy. His music is still bubblegum pop. If you hear his recent songs,
but he's only 21, 22
the
still.
Image though he's trying to propel is something different, which doesn't really trash. But he's a whole nother thing. We'll probably have a whole special topic just for him at one point.
We could talk about Justin Bieber and Miley Cyrus and all them, who kind of were
the offspring of it.
They were the bubblegum pop or whatever, and now they're trying to change it. I think Miley Cyrus really, took a left turn from where, Hannah Montana thing. But partly, like I've mentioned before, I think it's just she's trying to break that Disney image, and that's all that is. Yeah, but
the problem is that she's going to pigeonhole herself into a particular image, and she will, though, eventually have to
break out of it again somehow.
She will outgrow that image whether she likes it or not.
Yeah.
At 35, she's not going to be able to get away with the stuff she's doing at 22. Not saying, and I'm not speaking from a moral standing, like, well, it's not proper or something. It doesn't mean that. It's just people will not accept it as being anything close to real when you try to do it at 35.
Yeah, but I mean, you can talk about, like I said, we can go through this in different things. I mean, we're kind of going away from the subject that we started with of boy bands and bubblegum pop.
Well, we're touching
because I mean, you can look at like Lady Gaga when she first came out. She was shocking, she would do all this out there stuff. You look at her now, and she's not as like,
it gets
a Me
boring.
Too. It's like, she dresses more like, I'm fancy, whatever, kind of the weird look stuff, but she's not like out there anymore. It doesn't seem to,
Because it gets boring after a while. Once you see you do it once, like even Marilyn Manson, I know now we're going totally off the bubblegum pop, but even Marilyn Manson, when he was doing his shock rock stuff in the 90s, it was shocking. Even if he does the same thing now, it's not shocking anymore. It's just because we've seen it. We're used to. Once you become used to something, you don't see it. And we were talking about how, eventually the artists outgrow that message. Like the bubblegum pop, which is a lot of times about your first love, dating, typical teenage stuff you go through, social anxiety, like nerves with friends, whatever.
Alrighty then.
Yeah, there seems to be, again, construction happening in P&D Studios, like all around us. So, however, it's still unique how in bubblegum pop, how quickly that expiration date hits. Because look at the messages in like rock music. It's, it's a lot of stuff is stuff that will appeal to you when you're 16, 17, anarchy, fight the power, down with the man, things like that. That you sort of outgrow juvenile delinquency behaviors as well by the time you hit your 30s, but you can still listen to this music and enjoy this music even if the message itself doesn't resonate with you at 37 as it did at 17. In the way that though this variant of pop doesn't, even if it appealed to you at 17, it just doesn't appeal to you by the time you hit your 30s, even by the time you're in your late 20s. And that's interesting to me. Because why is it that, why don't people look back on the nostalgically, I remember listening to this and how it reminded me of, is the guy going to ask me out for the date? People can look at it,
You were waiting for a guy to ask you out?
I am always waiting for my push charmer to come along and ask me out. Waiting, willing, wanting. That sounds like it's the beginning of a pop song right there.
I actually think it is.
But you know what I'm getting at.
It's Lance Bass's part, really. What he was wanting in all the songs, but he had to change it to, I'm waiting for the girl.
If they have to ever do a comeback tour of some sort of they will have to change some of the lyrics to accommodate him. I mean, otherwise it's just not fair. What is he going to do? Sit back? Whenever they talk about getting a girl, it doesn't make any sense. Well, there's going to be a bunch of 40-year-old men singing about getting a girl to go to prom, which is weird. But you get what I'm saying? Like people outgrow the music that you find like hard rock and hard punk songs, but they still can nostalgically look back on them and still listen to it with sort of that's right. I remember when this used to be like, fuck the system. I can headbutt along with it. I mean, maybe is it the sound? I don't
know. I think it's the nonsensicalness of it. The fact that rock music makes no sense for the most part. It's a bunch of noise and people just screaming nonsense and don't really have lyrics that you can understand. Some of the bands, I mean, look at punk, stuff like that. Heavy metal bands, people make fun of them all the time that you can't understand what they're saying. Why you even listen to them? All you hear is it's like, but some people do know the lyrics. Some people actually do hear the stuff. Some of them just want that noise and that nonsense so they can just bang their head, let all their aggression out, and just feel comfortable afterwards. Because I mean, I've met a lot of heavy metal heads, as they say, or just people who love metal, and they're calm when they hear it. I mean, you see all their aggression, you see them moving around in concerts and whatever, but afterwards, they're like the most mellow, peaceful people there because all their aggression is gone. They're just like, that was fun. It was like, okay. Look at, pop artists or, fans of pop music afterwards. They're screaming their heads off. They're like trying to rip clothes from the artists that if they can get a hold of. They're fighting over posters. They're fighting. It's just constant, just ugh. You know, and it's like, oh, pop music. It's nothing violent. It's like, watch the fans. Watch what they do. Yes, you get a bunch of idiots in rock music, you know, fans or metal music and fans who's like, oh no, you gotta be in the pit and you gotta like beat each other up. That's what it's supposed to be about. And you get the older crowd who's like, you guys are idiots. I remember being young and stupid like that, but nah, I listen to music, I enjoy it, and afterwards I'm peaceful because all my aggression's out, all my stress is just gone with the music. You know, and I think that's what it is. When you're young, you hear it more of as a way to, you know,
you experience the music.
Well, no, you give yourself an excuse to be angry and hit people and, you know, fight. And then when you get older, you'll hear it and you're like, yeah, you know, I feel that stuff, but I'm not as aggressive as I want to show off. I want to be the big man on campus and beat someone up.
Well, you should be more mature.
I want to listen to it, get my aggressions out, scream with the band, do whatever, enjoy myself, and afterwards I may lose my voice, but I feel comfortable. I'm mellow. We can sit and discuss whatever afterwards. I don't care. You know.
Right.
Not pop music though. They're all just.
Well, maybe it's the focus. Like with something like rock music, the sound might very well much be the focus. Whereas with pop, it's really the personalities that you see. It's very visual, like artist visual. Driven. Like it's so much more like, I mean, put 5 chubby guys that aren't much, you know, visually appealing to do the exact same thing, the same band with the same voices. I don't think it would have had the same phenomenon. There was very much they were trying to appeal to the sex appeal.
Then they would be Motown.
And did they have the same impact with teens and tweens?
No.
Exactly.
But goddamn, can they sing?
But it was always strange to me because the majority of the fans, for like even the female artists, well, also other females, they were mainly, but they still did the same sex appeal angle, and it still kind of worked. Even though, you know, like teenage boys weren't necessarily, I mean, they may have been masturbating to Britney Spears back in the day, but they weren't going out to her concerts, they weren't buying her albums.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like Britney Spears or NSYNC or any of them, any of like boy bands or bubblegum pop artists, either any guy who went there was either gay or trying to get laid.
Yeah.
And not trying to get laid by the artist, trying to get laid by the girlfriend that they took there. It's like, oh, look at the tickets I bought you. I got what I did, whatever. And that's really all it is. They hate the music. They're just trying to get a little extra touching or feeling.
So that was like well, that's interesting because we mentioned like how, well, it was a sex appeal stuff. But that's why it appealed to the young teenage girls. They were looking at the, you know, hot teenage boys, you know, in these artists. But they were also going to watch the hot teenage girls that were singing as well. I guess it just crossed over into that whole phenomenon for them and didn't really matter that much.
Yeah, no, but that's
or
the
it was
thing.
something they could aspire to physically. They were like, I want to be as hot as her or something.
Yeah.
Other guy.
I mean, that's
so they
the
were
thing.
living through them
with the guys, like I
vicariously.
said, with guys, at least some of them I've heard. You know, I knew a couple guys, you know, whatever, who are like, yeah, I'm going to see a Britney Spears concert. I'm taking my girlfriend. I better get a blowjob off of this, you know, stuff like that. And I knew some single guys who were like going to the concert and stuff like that.
To pick them up.
And they're going to see if they can pick up any girl there, you know, to try to pull at their heartstrings, like, oh yeah, I listen to the same music you do, or whatever. Or they're trying to get close enough to a girl behind them just so they can, like, you know, fill them up. And it's like basically, you know, trying to physically assault them and rape them, but not like, you know, get in trouble for it.
Right.
You know, and so
Copper feel.
Yeah, copper feel in a sense. And it's like both of those reasons are stupid to go to the music in the first place. I wouldn't spend $150 to get a, you know, nosebleed section seat to see a group I don't like just to see if I can get lucky with my girlfriend or get lucky and, you know, fill up a girl or guy if you're into it.
Well, we don't judge.
But I mean, that's the thing is, I mean, with that, it's I think ridiculous in the fact that some of the fans weren't really fans. They're there to try to, you know, and see the other group, like the guys, the girls, look at the artist, fantasize about the artist on stage, whatever. And there's not like, oh, I love the music. There's more like, oh, I want to see her naked.
So there was, I want to say, like there was a level of passion there, but there wasn't much dedication.
Yeah,
to the genre. Well, dedication to the music genre anyway, because just about everybody outgrew it.
Yeah,
and that includes the artists who were singing it. They were forced to outgrow it eventually. Many of them physically outgrew it. They lost their boyish good looks or the girlish good looks. Let's be honest, you get old. You get older. Whether or not you can be good looking when you're still older, but just not a teenager any longer.
Yeah. I mean, and Johnny.
Yeah, and you've seen him lately. He's starting to look his age.
Shut up. He's attractive no matter what.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to insult your man crush there.
Yeah, I mean, fine. Look at Angelina Jolie. She always looked like a toad.
She's your man crush?
No. She's always looked like a toad. She'll never look anything other than a toad.
You're gonna get so much hate mail for that.
I could care less. She's like a largemouth bass.
Oh man, she
too much Botox.
She has been acknowledged one of the most beautiful women on the planet. You're gonna get so much hate mail for that.
Until she can get compared to Audrey Hepburn.
Nobody can compare to Audrey.
Is a freaking toad.
Maybe Katharine Hepburn. She's up there, but I don't know. Audrey Hepburn, man, she's pretty high up.
Yes.
On that list, even in old age.
Yeah.
You see pictures of her.
And she's no Lucille Ball.
Okay.
Ricky.
Got some explaining to do. We should just have like footage of like old timey classic stuff just in the background behind us randomly.
Yeah,
no reason. But to finish the point I was making haphazardly, there is no dedication.
Yeah.
There was passion in this, but it fizzled out pretty quickly because I don't think anybody was really dedicated to the genre to begin with. And you can't really realize it because it's very much in the moment when it emerged, when it came out, in that era.
See,
all the factors were right for that storm, and you can't really blind stars that way anymore.
I think some of the artists who are in it, like NSYNC or Backstreet Boys, some of the people there were actually really into the group thing and the boy band thing. They didn't want it to end. They didn't want it to outgrow.
That's what I mean. Whether they wanted to or not, they had to outgrow.
I personally think all the members of Backstreet Boys really want to stay as a group because even now I think they're still trying to go out there and do stuff. Jordan Knight went off on his own one album and afterwards he's like, no, I'm going back to the group. I did better with the group. Look at NSYNC. Yeah, Justin Timberlake went on. He's not looking back. He may be like, yeah, thanks to the NSYNC, it gets me started, get me known, blah blah blah. But he's like, no, I don't want to do that again.
But why would he?
Seems that way.
Why would he?
Why would he? Because
I'm sure you want NSYNC back because that's what made him noteworthy. If you're Justin Timberlake, you don't need it.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is Lance Bass, Chris Kirkpatrick or J.C. Chazé.
Joey Fatone.
Joey Fatone. I think Joey Fatone knew it was a joke. He thinks it's a joke, and he just has fun with it. Because I mean, if you see him in the Progressive commercial, they're doing this whole boy band thing or whatever, and they're naming all these people, and then it says Joey Fatone. He's looking at him like, "What the hell am I doing on this? Well, what the hell happened?" He knows it's a joke. He's like, "Okay, whatever, have fun with it."
When I call the music like a formulaic and sort of repetitive and all that, like made in a factory, that's not to say there was no talent here. Like Justin Timberlake's music doesn't appeal to me. I would never say he's not talented.
No, yeah.
Like Christina Aguilera's music doesn't appeal to me. She's talented.
Yeah.
Like I don't take that away. It's just the particular environment they were in, and the music that was produced by that environment, I don't think was up to the caliber of other things that were available at the time. That's the only thing I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what I agree with. It's the fact that there are artists in that bubblegum pop genre that are talented. They could, I think they could have made it with what they're doing now and not had to go through what they did. I mean, it helped them build their character a little more and stuff. Going through what they did. But I mean, look at Justin Timberlake. He does movies. He's did movies. He had albums, top selling albums all on his own for a while. NSYNC hasn't been together for 10 years or so,
right?
At least, or it seems like it. I mean, it's been a while. Maybe over 10 years. And he's still there, still doing the music, still doing stuff, acting, whatever. And it shows his talent because not only could he sing and he does dancing, whatever, not much now, he can act. He does I think, a fairly decent job at his stuff.
The script is questionable. But
Yeah, his scripts or whatever, but he actually works it. I mean, look at, what is it, The Love Guru, and he played the whatever, Lecoq.
That was such a shitty movie.
That movie may have sucked, but I thought he did a great job. He played it off. He did the accent. He really made it. He worked it. And I was like, no, that's a great thing. I mean, it's, a great movie in that sense, that the acting on his part, as you see him as a pop artist, he's a great job at it. His other movies he's been in, I thought he did a fairly decent job at it,
Right. So that's what I mean. Like, so I don't judge any of these individuals based on like, well, you were in bubblegum pop, therefore you have no talent. A lot of them didn't have talent. Yeah. They were just there because they had a certain look.
Yeah.
But some of them, I wouldn't lump him into that category. And I'm not going to parcel through who falls into what specifically.
Yeah.
Just acknowledging the fact that it was a particular trend that fit a particular mold for a particular audience, and I'm going to make a conclusive statement and say, I don't think we're going to see it again. We might see similar offshoots, but it's not going to be the same sort of, it's not going to be the same phenomenon.
Yeah, there's at this time another kind of staging of it, there's another growing trend of it, but it's not the same as, what it was with the, big, bubblegum poppy, boy band stuff happening. But they are coming up. Now it's like, mentioned earlier, One Direction, which they play their own instruments. They're a little bit more edgy, but they're still boy bandy. R5 is, kind of the same thing. They all play their own instruments, but they're still kind of boy bandy with the sister in the band, stuff like that. So they still have some of that stuff coming up, but it's not as formulaic in the sense of, oh, well, you got the, the Mopey one and the, Bad Boy and the whatever. You used to have it's like, okay, it's kind of same feel, kind of same whatever, but it's changed in the formula or whatever.
Much of the music has the similar sound, but I guess they're trying to get away from making the personalities as predictable and as, let's say carbon copies of themselves as they were. Like it less assembly line already, pre-packaged. They're letting people their own personalities more into, which I think is a trend that's more now. Like the sound, it's not that the poppy sound has gone away. It's just that they're trying not to package it as tightly, or at least not make it appear that they're packaging it as tightly. Behind the scenes, they're probably packaging it pretty damn tight. Like, but I mean, they're trying not to let that leak in in the past.
No, but I mean that's the thing is I think they've changed it up a little bit, but they still kind of have that same thing, the feel or whatever, but it's a little more natural feeling, And that's what the statement is, what I mean to say. And, just like any other, like pop thing or bubblegum pop or boy band, it has to end. Just like this podcast.
Just like gravity, it must eventually come down, and we will go down for another week and sign off on, but eventually, like any sedimentary layer, we will come back up.
Yeah. We forgot to mention our sponsor, Olo's hair braiding.
Olo hair braiding. Come to Olo's hair braiding. I braid hair and give you fried chicken. You like fried chicken. Capitalism. Hashtag.
Anyways.
Oh, Olo. Hope he doesn't sue us for that.
Yeah. I hope so.
Alright, if he does, he knows where to find us, and you guys can find us on the same spot as always in Peanut Studio next week. Signing off. Bye-bye.
See you.